And so since the network has not been working, that means that I had students who went out to the pods earlier to try and work on their project, and they were not able to because since the network's not working, Publisher and Word were not working, so they weren't even able to log on and do anything. So I stopped writing passes because there's no point in writing a pass if you can't work on anything, right?
Mr. Bittner, they're
So-
working now. I was wondering.
You're the thunder thief. That's your job. As soon as I'm about to say something, steal it. I think that they're working right now. I think that they're working right now. I was just able to get into attendance, which is the first thing I've been able to get into all day. So, if we establish that they are working, I'm gonna keep checking it. If everything is working, then they'll probably, if this class goes similar to last class, there should be about 5 minutes at the end of class where I'll have you guys working on something. And if you need a pass during that time, you can come up and get a pass from me then, okay? If everything is working. Did you try and log it out there?
That's fine, but they haven't made the announcement, so
Okay.
it's still probably.
So, I know the Wi-Fi, the thing is that the Wi-Fi is working. The Wi-Fi has been working all
I think
morning.
it's actually the network,
So, yeah, the network itself is
not
done.
the internet.
They did work?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing was working earlier, so I'm not entirely sure if it's back up. If it is, we'll find out in a little bit. I'll send somebody out to go check the network in a little bit. Okay. So what that means is this: if it's still down and it's not you're not able to get onto your projects or work on your project at all today. If it goes the whole day like that, then tomorrow when we meet up, we'll see how far people get and we'll talk about possibly changing the due date. Right now, I'm not moving the due date. Everything's still due on Friday. Okay? Everything's still due at the end of class on Friday. Right? I'm not changing that at all. Not yet. If we get to the end of the day and we're still having problems, then tomorrow we'll talk about it. But right now, I'm not changing anything. So still plan on getting your project done tonight or tomorrow and being ready to turn it in. Does anybody have their project done already? How many people, does anybody have
I
their
have
project
one
completely
section.
finished? One person?
I have one
Alright.
section
Okay.
straight. I don't know.
And it is working at this moment.
It is working out there? Okay. That's good. Alright, so that means we can probably get you guys working. Alright, so I'll give you guys some time at the end of class to get passes from me if you need one to work on it during TSI or during lunch or something like that. Tomorrow when we go to the lab, I might have a sign up, just meet in the lab. I'll find out what lab we're gonna be in tomorrow. Just meet me in the lab tomorrow, okay? There's a possibility that during the time that we're in the lab tomorrow, that there could be a group map testing, so we need to try and be as quiet as possible in the lab. We're gonna go straight there, we're gonna meet there. Once we're there, we're gonna start working. You'll have the majority of the time to work, but about 10 minutes, with about 10 minutes left in the period, maybe 15, I'm gonna stop you guys and show everybody how to turn in your assignment when you're done with it, how I want it done. And then you can go back to working on it if you need to. The due date is Friday, so at any point in time, by the end of the day on Friday, I expect it to be in that folder. And by the end of the day on Friday, I mean the end of school on Friday. But I would think that most of you guys can have it turned in by the end of class on Friday. All right. If we need to change that at all, I'll talk about it tomorrow, but right now there's no plans to, so it's still due Friday. Okay. Any questions about project? About turning in the project. Okay? Yes.
I didn't get any pictures off the camera, I just did clip on it, so, like, I'm not gonna get points up because I didn't cite something.
No, you're not. Because the only thing that you need to cite is the article. So you still have to have a citation like you still have to create a works cited page for the article itself.
Wait, how are you creating that page? Like, is it a separate page?
It'd be a separate page, it's not on your, what I want you to do, and I thought I talked about this yesterday, is I want you to create a works cited page. You're gonna type that up in Word, print that off, staple that to your rubric, and turn that into me on Friday. Okay? So your works cited, which means your citation for the article, and your citation for any pictures that you pulled off of the internet. You're gonna print that up on a separate piece of paper, staple that to your rubric, and turn that into me once you've deposited your project into the classroom file. Any other questions? Yes, MLA format. Must be MLA. Any other questions? Robin. Alright, so let's get started on what we're gonna do today. With all that technical business stuff out of the way, we can get started on what we're gonna do today. Alright, so I need my 5 masters to go back up to the front of the classroom, please. 5 masters back to the front of the classroom. I'm gonna pass out your jobs to you. And we're gonna do the last stage in this project today.
I want to be. Where's Logan?
Alright. Oh, Logan's not here.
Can I go? Can I go?
No. I'll fill in for Logan. I'm not passing
Mr.
it down.
Bittner.
I got I'm not passing it down. Okay, let's see here. What did you have? You were. Oh, yes. Some excellent video. Okay. I wanted to have these guys come up here because I wanted to show you the 3 different levels of information, of communicating information. We started out with what our Stone Age ancestors had to deal with no ability to communicate, no ability to share common language, to share information. They didn't have a common language. So one of the best ways to share information this time would be to just go out and take somebody by the hand, just one person take you by the hand and literally show you how to do everything, right? Show you how to do everything. Some of these jobs, Mr. Johnson looked at some of these jobs and said, how in the world are they supposed to teach somebody how to do this? I said, exactly, that's the whole point. Is without language, really the only way you could show somebody how to do something would be to take them hand in hand and go and do it. Pick up a particular item and say, this is what you need. Pick up another item, this is what you need. Walk the path for them, show them how to do it, right? And for a long time, that is exactly the way we taught. That's the way that one person was taught by another person. You had a master and an apprentice, just like in Star Wars. A master and an apprentice. And you would have the master who teach the apprentice everything step by step, literally showing them how to do it. And then we started developing better language, more ways of communicating. Now we could have 1 or 2 people. We could show 1 or 2 people things, 2 or 3 people things. We could communicate, and we could start teaching a few more people. But as we moved into that second stage, right? That first stage, did it take a while to learn the processes? Was it easy to learn the processes? No. Did anybody learn all 5 the first time around? Did anybody learn 2? Okay. Out of those of you who learned 2, when you learned it the second time around, did you realize that some of the stuff that you learned was wrong? Yeah, right? It was ineffective way of doing it. The second time around, once we had communication, once you had language, did anybody learn all 5, even with the tools of language? All 5 with all the steps and details. Did anybody learn 4? 3? Anybody want to confidently say you learned 3 with all the steps and processes? Okay, 2. You learned 2. At least 2. At least 2. Right? A lot more people should have at least 2. How many people say they learned at least 1, they got 1 completely down all the steps and processes? This should be everybody. Everybody should have at least 1. Except for everyone. So even with being able to use language, it still took a while, and not everybody learned everything. We now live in what is called the information age. And it's called the information age because we can mass share language. We can share language on a very broad scale. I can log into my Facebook account right now, and within 15 minutes, I could probably find 35 different recipes and find ways of making food for the next 2 weeks. Right? I could read articles about things that are going on in different parts of the country that I didn't even know about because I don't live there. I can find out about things that are going on in my friends' lives, people's birthdays, people's anniversaries, different things to celebrate that I didn't know about, right? I could find out about all kinds of things immediately within 15 minutes that I would have no clue about before. Because we can share on a mass level. We can learn things on a mass level. I learned how to build parts of this tree by watching things on YouTube and Pinterest. I've been learning constantly about how to set up the Wi-Fi and the webcams on this thing and get everything to stream right by watching different videos on YouTube. You can learn things in a massive amount. So we are going to demonstrate how that works today. Everybody's going to learn all 5 traits, all 5 skills. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have my masters now, in our information age, they are going to share this, they are going to broadcast their information. So you've gone from barely being able to communicate one-on-one to being able to communicate with a couple of people. Now you can broadcast and you can share information with multitudes, large amounts of people. Okay? In fact, we're going to share this information with more than just us, because we're sharing it with everybody that's watching the stream and everybody that will watch this video on YouTube. Right? So we are sharing this information beyond just the borders of this classroom and out into the entire world if they wanted to. Okay? So, Dan, would you like to share your information? First, say what job you have, and then tell me how to do that
Is the
job.
camera rolling?
Oh, yes. Huh? You can stay right there. You don't have to talk to the camera.
3 million people are watching.
I had paint for caves. To make purple, you have to take purple petals from flowers in the field and crush and mix them with spit. You have to use it quickly. For the color red, you have to use red berries from near the swamp, crush and mix with sand, and it lasts for a long time. And for black, you have to use ash from a fire, mix with clean water, and it makes a mess, so you have to be very careful.
All right.
I had clean water. You go up the mountain along the 3rd path from the cave. 275 steps up, turn right at the face-shaped rock. Under the hanging tree is an ice-cold stream. It's very clean.
All right. Really quickly, I saw a lot of people being taught how to find water on the very first time around without communication. Did anybody get those exact directions?
I thought he did mountain.
Yeah,
So people got go up the mountain, right? People got go up the mountain.
Go up a mountain drinking water.
Go up the mountain, drink your water. Can I tell you that in the directions for that, Courtney Callahan had that one in my first class. She was our master at that one, and Riley thought that she was trying to teach was how to go on a water slide. She's like, go up mountain and water. She's like, climb water slide. That's what she thought. So it's very hard when you don't have when you don't have language to be able to share specifically what it's supposed to do. Would have anybody have gotten the 275 steps?
No, what? No.
No. And the only way you would have been able to know that is if somebody would have walked you along and counted them with you and shown you precisely what steps to take. Thank you. All right. Go ahead. Grant, go ahead.
Hunting mammoths. You have to watch the herd, choose the slow, small, or weakest one, avoid the sick mammoth or herd child and herd leader. Have a small group of men chase mammoths toward rocks with fire and sticks. Attack from on top of the rocks with pointy sticks. Beware of tusks and knives, very dangerous. Leave some behind for wolves and cats.
Okay. Some very important information in that one for why you should do things. Why do you want to attack the small and weak ones but avoid the sick ones? Julian.
Because the sick ones probably wouldn't be any good.
They might not be good. Why not?
You don't
You don't want to get sick too, right? If you eat the meat from an animal that's sick, whatever they have might transfer to you, and you might get sick as well. So you want to pay attention to the small ones or the weak ones, because they're going to be easier to kill. But you want to stay away from the ones that look like they might be sick. You also want to stay away from the pack leader's children, because that will make the pack leader angry, and then they might attack you, right? Why do you want to attack from on top of the rocks? Why would you want to attack from?
Because then they can't come up and attack you.
It keeps you away from the most dangerous parts, right? It talked about dangerous parts, the tusks and the legs. If you're up high, you're away from the tusks and the legs, at least for the most part. Plus, you're attacking down on something. It's easier to attack down. And finally, the last part that was important in there is to leave some for the cats and wolves. Why is that important? Lexi?
So then, so you can eat the wolves and cats.
Maybe if you want to hunt the wolves and cats afterwards. You could then yeah, use that like as bait to lure them out.
You could, they would come and get it and stay away from yours.
Right. If you leave some for them, you can take your portion away, and they're not going to come after you. A friend of mine hunts moose up in Alaska, and everybody knows how like in Alaska it gets really dark really early, and they always leave a portion of the moose behind when they try and take the rest of it away, because then the wolves that are out will go after that portion that's left, and they'll ignore them and let them take away their part. So they always leave a portion there, so that they don't have to worry about the wolves tracking them and chasing them down while they're trying to get back to camp. All right, Jada, what our next one?
Okay, I had fire. And what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to make a pile of small sticks and dry grass, and then using a dark rock and a light rock, you're supposed to strike them together, and it'll make a spark. And try to get the sparks on the dry grass, and then when it smokes, you blow it out. You blow on it, and then add more wood, and then it creates a fire.
Right. So you have to be careful. Also, very small, important details in there. Making sure it's dry grass. Has anybody ever tried to set a fire onto wood or grass that's wet?
Yeah.
It doesn't really work, does it? Just kind of smokes for a while. It doesn't really start a fire. You want to use dry grass and twigs. All right, I had the last one. So the last one is medicine for cuts. Very important, especially if you're hunting mammoths. In the woods, near the swamp, are some red berry bushes. Take 8 berries. In the field are some yellow and black flowers. Take only the petals. In the woods near the field are some large trees. Take some large green leaves, mix berries and petals, cut or place uncut, and then cover with the leaves. Now this is also very important because you want to make sure that you get the right red berries. If you get the red berries from the woods and not the red berries from the swamp, are they going to have the same effect?
No.
Probably not. In fact, they could be poisonous. They could make things worse. Also, it says to get the petals and just the petals. So what if you get petals and leaves and mix them together? Is that going to work? No, and that also could be poisonous. So these things are very important. So now, not only does everybody in the room, but everybody who's watching the video knows how to survive as a caveman in society. We have the 5 essential tasks surviving as a caveman. We have food, we have water, we have fire, we have medicine, and we have the earliest stages of communication. All right, thank you, Master Scott. Actually, hand me your cards. Go ahead. Thank you very much. So now we have moved through the levels of communication. We start out with not being able to use language and still trying to teach and communicate ideas. We have then learned a little bit more by being able to use language. Right? And now we step into the ultimate level of using language, broadcasting that knowledge so that multitudes can learn the same thing. And it's great to learn things. In fact, we should continue to learn things. So, if you don't have it on your desk already, please take out your textbook, because we're about to learn some more stuff. I feel like our transition happened. Yesterday when we first started talking, we talked about how our early ancestors were hunters and gatherers. Even in what we talked about today, we talked about being hunters and gatherers. And you had to move around to find food. Right? We talked about what would happen if we lived in a world where the only food in our society, the only food we could get was McDonald's. And the only way we could get McDonald's was it was in a gigantic semi-truck. And that semi-truck was just roaming around. And we had to follow the semi-truck in order to get our food. Right? That's the only way we got food. And that's sort of what our early ancestors were like. They were constantly roaming around, chasing after food. And it led them to move to different parts of the world. So we're going to read about that first, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. And then we'll go on from there. So page 36. Page 36. I want you to read through this section 2. It's not very long. It's only like 4 pages long. It's not very long, so you should go really quickly. I do want you to pay attention to the keywords. I believe there's 4 of them in here, so please write down your keywords with your list of other keywords. Yes. Okay. I do want you to. Yes. No. So I want you to read through these. I want you to find your keywords. We have one more section in this chapter to do. We have one more section we're going to probably do on Monday or Tuesday, which means we will probably have a key term or keyword quiz on Wednesday of next week. It might become like a full quiz over this last unit, but right now I'm just saying it's a keyword quiz. So you have 4 keywords from this chapter, from this unit, this section, whatever it's called. So I want you to read through this, copy down, look for your keywords, write down your terms. We're going to talk about what you're reading, so pay attention to what you are reading. You got to read and comprehend. I know, it's multitasking. I probably asked. Okay, I did just receive official word, yes, the computers are officially back up online. So we're gonna talk for about 10 minutes here, so a minute, and I will take some time to sign passes for people who need them. But I did send out an email to all staff saying you guys have passes, so you can just go DFCSI or whatever. So just watch your teacher, let them know. But if you really need a pass, you can come in. Especially if you're gonna go alone. All right. How many people have finished reading? All right. It's only like 30 seconds. It's very nice. All right. So, before everybody closes their books, I want everybody to take a look at the map that's on page 37, or 38. 37? 37. The map that is on page 37. Yep. I want everybody to take a look at the map that's on page 37. Now, when we first started looking at our timeline the other day, we talked about how the first modern human-like people that we saw started showing up in Africa. Right, in early parts of Africa, and then eventually they started spreading out. Looking at that map, which way did they start going? Where did they start out? Because you can see the little box that's pointing to the part of Africa where they have found some of the earliest remains. Where did they start going? Lexi.
East and
They went a little bit to the west, right through Africa. They also went north, right? Some of them went south, but most of them went north and then west, and then east. North and then east. If you look at where they started going north. In Africa, as they were going north, they get to a certain point. Once they get to that point, they split off, and they break and go another way. Does anybody know what ancient civilization developed right around that point where they split off and started going in different directions? There's a major ancient civilization that started right around that area of Africa where they split off. It's along a very famous river. It's along the Nile River, and what ancient civilization developed along the Nile River? The Egyptians. The Egyptian Empire. The Egyptian civilization developed right along the Nile River. And if you actually pay very close attention, if you were to pull up a different type of map, and look at these, you would actually notice that a lot of these paths, a lot of these trends, follow different river systems. We talked about earlier that scientists now believe that the Sahara Desert, which is in the northern part of Africa, if you look at that part that gets to where Egypt is and splits off and goes west through northern Africa, that's basically right along the Sahara Desert. So why would people go through that way? Why would they go that way? Well, because at one point in time it wasn't a desert. It was actually a lush jungle there in that area. When we had that ice age, things shifted, climates shifted. In an area that used to be dry, or that is now dry and arid, where barely anything grows, was very lush and had river systems all throughout it. And the people followed those river systems. But they also went east, and they went through the Arabian Peninsula, where another ancient civilization formed. Does anybody know what ancient civilization formed in the Arabian Peninsula? Along these routes where people started migrating? Mesopotamia, our next one. We'll talk about all these a little bit. And as they went further east, they eventually reached India and the Indus Valley along the Indus River. And another ancient civilization started up. And they went further east from there into China. And you have our fourth ancient civilization. All four, they're all on the board, on the wall. All four. And you can see if you follow the paths of migration of these early people, you can start to see where large groups of them decide to stop and settle for one reason or another and form civilizations. You have some of the earliest known civilizations in those four parts. Now, Mr. Johnson asked me a question a little bit ago, why the ice ages occur. Did anybody see in your reading why the ice ages occurred, why they happened? Did they talk about why they happened? Anybody see that? So we went and looked it up. We went to PBS. We looked it up on PBS. PBS is a pretty good resource.
PBS Kids.
Not PBS, it's just PBS. It's a pretty good resource. Good science. And they basically said that ice ages occur for a lot of reasons. But they're not really sure on just one. They aren't really sure for a lot of reasons. But ice ages do have major consequences, right? We see people in the ice ages moving all over the world. They start moving, right? Things get cold. You got to move out of an area. And then when the ice age starts receding, other places start to get warm. And you can move into new areas. I gave the example earlier in my last talk. Imagine you were stranded on an island in the middle of a gigantic lake. One that was way too large for you to swim. Way too large for you to swim. You'd never make it across. But then winter comes. And the lake freezes. Can you get off your island?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? You can walk on the ice, right? Is it always safe to walk on the ice?
No.
No, it's not always safe to walk on the ice. But imagine that our entire class is stuck on that island. You're not stuck by yourself. Our entire class is stuck on that island. And we need to get off the island. We need to get somewhere else. So we're going to venture out onto the ice. And we're going to go out on the ice. We form a nice long line of people to walk out on the ice. We stay evenly spaced apart, not to put too much weight on the ice. But we're walking along. And as we're walking along, Emily falls in the ice.
Why does it lie on this?
Well, you say you always raise your hand and never pick you for anything, so I'm picking you
I'm
for
not
something
raising
now.
my hand.
I'm picking you for something now.
Exactly.
Emily falls in the ice. Are we going to continue in the direction that we were going when Emily fell in the ice?
No.
No, we're going to change direction. So all right, we're not going to go that anymore. And then after a little while, Lexi falls in the ice. Are we going to keep going? Are we going to keep going that direction anymore? Now we're going to change direction again. So maybe out of our class of 32, if you can count Mr. Johnson and I, which will be at the back of the line because that's where the smart people are, we'll be at the back of the line.
That's where I'll do the-
All the leaders go to the back of the line and make the rest of the people walk in front.
Well, that's
So-
not a leader.
So we'll keep,
Mr. Benner, you would have.
out of an entire class of 34 people walking across the ice, there might be, depending on how large it is, there might be 10 of us that make it to the other side.
Wow.
But is that enough people to start a new city? If we had 10 people, we could start another city. We could meet up with another tribe. We could do whatever it is that we need to do to survive, right? We could make it, and it would be okay. We could go on. We could continue hunting, find new food, and start a new civilization. So we might make it, and that's the way they did
Who
it.
are those 10 people?
Large groups of people would travel, and maybe not all of them would make it, but enough would. Enough would. Yes. Yeah, Emily died. She's an Emily Cyril. She's an Emily Cyril.
They find her-
Kaylee? No, Kaylee, you got really close.
Did I make it?
Why? All right. So we have just a couple minutes left. If you need, how many people need passes to go? Okay, a lot of people. Okay. Okay. All right. Keep everybody who needs passes. Keep your hands up. Okay. How many? If you have a TSI and you're wanting a pass for TSI, please put your hand down. If you are wanting a pass for, does everybody else want a pass for lunch?
Yeah, but we all have different lunches.
Me and Brooke can share a pass. Me and Lexi and.
Okay. All right. How about this? I'm gonna write one pass. I'm gonna write one pass per lunch period. So I need one person from each lunch period, one responsible person.
D, then
Lunch
I'll
period.
go for D. I got
Haley, I said responsible.
Wait, can you have my name, D? No, can you have my name?
I'll go.
I don't know if I'm going, just have my name.
I am D.
All right, I got one person from 5, I got one person from 6, and I got 7.
D, I'm getting 5.
Need some more. What's that?
Now I have 7. Are you
What
7?
did you see?
All right, I got 5. I'm running one pass for the whole class. 5, 6, 7. Okay, there's my 3 passes. All right. These are the 3 people. If you have a TSI, you shouldn't need a pass because I sent an email out to everybody saying just to let you go. So they should have an email from you to let you use the pass. Okay?
Okay.
Since the computers are working now. I'm going to suggest that because there's still math testing going on, that you don't use the LRC unless they won't let you use anything else. Ms. Camasano will get furious with me if you guys all just show up at the LRC. Also, you still can work on it at home, which I would highly recommend because we don't have a whole lot of time.
Are you going for sure?
Did you guys get those headbands for Those are cute. I can be bow. Maybe that one.
Oh, our bows for cheer. They're long and it doesn't look like it's a shimmery red thing.
Comes in cheer. Wow. Oh, that slider stuff right back. Here, I'm gonna put my stuff on. Oh, smash it up! You're fun, you're excited. I don't like that.
I got to do like this today.
Oh.
Get up.
Because once,
I'm sorry. You can't survive. Why not?
so she volunteers.
What did I do? I don't know, like, sit there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys, we're not done yet. Please have a seat. I have one last thing. Guys, inside. Okay. Would my 5th period person, who has my 5th period pass? 5th period pass. Tina has it. So if you are in 5th period lunch, find her. 6th period person who has 6th period pass, Kaylee. If you have 6th period, find Kaylee. If you have 7th period lunch, find Eliana. Toodles. TTFN. That's all for now.
Okay.
TTYL. Talk to you later.
Oh, he's a texter. I'm not in the text. Somebody leave their,
Whole pot of coffee by second grade.
Anything interesting happen?
Cool, couple world history books. Cool.
Hi, Emma.
Nana hit me.
My name's Nene.
Did we have math testing today?
I don't think so.
Why we have to?
What up, peeps?
No, yesterday we had the reading one. Do we have another math test today?
What?
What?
We have another math test today? No, we don't take the other math one until next week.
Okay. Still have another.
When do you want to go?
Give me one.
Give me one.
I wrote some math for Eliana. I know Eliana can get that. She has
I just found my book the second I finished it.
My goal is exactly to be good. I should try 236. I got 246.
I gave you one of my
Hello?
I
I should have